The world of wrestling has lost one of its most iconic and unforgettable legends. The man behind Hulkamania, the hero of generations, is gone. Hulk Hogan, born Terry Jean Bollea, passed away at the age of 71. He died early Thursday morning after suffering a fatal cardiac arrest at his home in Clearwater Beach, Florida. Emergency responders were dispatched within minutes and CPR was performed for over 30 minutes. But despite every effort to revive him, Hogan was pronounced dead at Morton Plant Hospital at 11:17 a.m. News of his death has left fans devastated. Social media has exploded with grief, disbelief and tribute. From fellow wrestlers to Hollywood stars, the world is remembering a man who was larger than life, both inside the ring and beyond it. He wasn't just a wrestler, he was an icon, a brand, a symbol of an era. And now, for the first time in decades, the arena feels empty. As fans search for answers about what really happened, one thing is certain. Hulk Hogan's story isn't over, because legends never die, they just echo louder when they're gone. In the days leading up to his death, there were whispers, rumours about his health, concerns about how much pain he was truly in. But to the public, Hulk Hogan was healing, smiling in photos, reassuring fans that everything was fine, but everything wasn't fine. On the morning of July 24th, Hulk Hogan collapsed inside his Clearwater Beach mansion. At 9:51 a.m., a 911 call was made, reporting a medical emergency. Paramedics arrived just 5 minutes later and immediately began CPR. They worked on him for over 30 minutes, fighting to restart a heart that had powered one of the most dominant bodies in wrestling history. But it wasn't enough. Hogan was rushed to Morton Plant Hospital, where doctors made a final attempt to revive him. At exactly 11:17 a.m., he was pronounced dead. The cause, cardiac arrest. He was 71 years old. Authorities confirmed there was no foul play. It was a sudden, natural death, the kind that takes even the strongest without warning. Behind the scenes, those closest to Hogan had seen signs. He had lost weight, he was weaker, recovering from a recent surgery that left him struggling to speak and breathe. Still, no one expected this. Not yet. Not him. The man who once told us to train, say our prayers and eat our vitamins, spent his final moments surrounded by loved ones in the home he built with decades of blood, sweat and fame. And just like that, the lights went out on a wrestling legend. A voice that once roared in packed arenas is now silent. But his story is far from over. As the news of Hulk Hogan's death spread, the world responded with a wave of shock, grief and disbelief. Social media lit up instantly. For millions, it felt like the end of an era. Fans around the globe began sharing their favourite Hogan memories, from childhood matches watched on grainy TV screens to chance meetings at wrestling conventions. He wasn't just a wrestler, one fan wrote, he was my hero growing up. This one hurts. At WWE headquarters, the flag flew at half-mast. A formal tribute was released within the hour, calling Hogan one of the most impactful performers in wrestling history. He changed everything, it read. There will never be another like him. Fellow legends echoed that same sentiment. Ric Flair posted a heartfelt message, writing, "We rode the roads together. We shared the spotlight, and now I share in the heartbreak." The Rock shared a photo of himself as a child wearing a Hulkamania shirt, captioning it, "Without Hulk Hogan, there would be no me. He made wrestling global, he made it cool, he made it fun. Rest easy, brother." John Cena, who had long credited Hogan as one of his inspirations, said simply, "Hulk Hogan was the standard. I owe my career to the trail he blazed." Beyond wrestling, celebrities paid tribute too. From Hollywood actors to pop stars, politicians to athletes, everyone had something to say about the man who once told us to believe in ourselves and made us believe in him. Even those who hadn't watched wrestling in decades still remembered the voice, the yellow bandana, the flexing, the energy. Hulk Hogan was more than a superstar. He was a cultural icon. In every corner of the world, from wrestling arenas to barbershops, from newsrooms to living rooms, one thing was clear. This loss was personal, and the grief was real, because Hulk Hogan didn't just entertain us, he inspired us. And now, as the world mourns, one thing becomes clear. The legend may be gone, but Hulkamania, that will never die. Terry Jean Bollea was born on August 11th, 1953 in Augusta, Georgia, but he grew up in Tampa, Florida, a quiet, laid-back kid who loved baseball, music and comic books. He wasn't an athlete in high school. He didn't grow up dreaming of being a wrestling star. In fact, his first dream was to become a rock musician. He played bass guitar in local bands and performed in clubs around Florida. But fate had other plans. One night in the late 1970s, Terry walked into a gym, and everything changed. His massive frame and natural charisma caught the attention of wrestling veterans who immediately saw something in him. He was trained by Hiro Matsuda, a legendary wrestler known for being brutally tough. On Terry's first day of training, Matsuda broke his leg, just to test his resilience. Most would have quit. Terry didn't. He came back, he healed, and when he stepped into the ring, he became something else entirely. With his blonde mustache, bandana, and sculpted body, Terry Bollea transformed into a new persona, Hulk Hogan. A name inspired by comic book superheroes and a personality that would become larger than life. In the early 1980s, Hogan joined the World Wrestling Federation, and almost overnight, everything changed. He wasn't just another wrestler, he was a force. By 1984, Hulkamania had exploded. He won his first WWF championship by defeating the Iron Sheik at Madison Square Garden. Fans went wild, the locker room shifted. Wrestling was no longer a niche sport, it was mainstream, and Hogan was its face. With his signature catchphrases, "What you gonna do when Hulkamania runs wild on you?" and his calls to train, say your prayers and eat your vitamins, Hogan became a role model to millions of kids. He headlined the very first WrestleMania in 1985, teaming up with Mr. T. From there, his career skyrocketed. Hulk Hogan became a household name. He wasn't just in wrestling rings, he was on cereal boxes, in cartoons, in action figures, video games, even movies. His face was everywhere. By the late 80s and early 90s, there was no bigger star in wrestling, maybe even in all of entertainment. Hogan didn't just change wrestling, he made it global, he made it cool. He became the embodiment of the American hero, muscle-bound, righteous and unstoppable. But behind every meteoric rise, there's always a turning point. For decades, Hulk Hogan was untouchable. He had conquered wrestling, conquered pop culture, and for millions, he was a real-life superhero. But behind the muscles, the mustache, and the iconic poses was a man who would soon face a public reckoning. It began with whispers, rumours of behind-the-scenes drama in the wrestling world, stories of ego clashes, backstage politics, and strained relationships with other superstars. But the real fall began in 2015. That's when the world saw a very different side of Hulk Hogan. A private video surfaced, leaked footage of Hogan making racially charged remarks. The audio was undeniable, the language was explosive, and just like that, the hero was cancelled. The WWE severed all ties. He was scrubbed from their Hall of Fame. His merchandise disappeared. His legacy, once protected like a crown jewel, was suddenly radioactive. Hogan apologised publicly. He said it was a dark moment, a private conversation never meant to be heard, but the damage was done. For many fans, the pain ran deep, the betrayal was personal, but the scandals didn't stop there. In the same year, Hogan sued Gawker Media for publishing portions of a separate leaked sex tape. Another explosive controversy, but this time Hogan fought back, and he won. A Florida jury awarded him $140 million in damages, a verdict so massive it bankrupted Gawker and made headlines worldwide. It was a bizarre twist. The man who had fallen so hard was now the man who destroyed one of the biggest media companies in America. Yet despite the legal victory, Hogan's public image remained tarnished. He was no longer the golden boy, he had become a complicated figure. A man loved by many, but impossible to defend without hesitation. Over the next few years, he kept a low profile, occasionally re-emerging at fan conventions or returning quietly to WWE events. But the magic? It never truly came back. Some fans forgave, others never could. The same man who once told kids to say their prayers had now become a cautionary tale. It wasn't just a fall from grace, it was a reminder that even heroes are human, that the brightest stars can burn out the fastest, and for Hulk Hogan, the scars of that fall never fully healed. Love him or hate him, Hulk Hogan changed everything. Before Hogan, professional wrestling was a regional attraction, small crowds, dim arenas, and cult followings. After Hogan, it was prime time. It was pay-per-view, it was global. He wasn't just the face of wrestling, he was wrestling. A one-man brand that turned body slams into pop culture. A walking billboard of charisma, controversy, and pure star power. He inspired generations of fans, lifted entire companies on his back, headlined 8 WrestleManias, brought in millions of viewers and billions in revenue. He helped transform Vince McMahon's vision into reality, sports entertainment as a worldwide empire. Outside the ring, Hogan's influence was just as strong. He starred in movies, TV shows, he released music, endorsed products, and even had his own cartoon. He was everywhere. And while many remember the scandals, others remember the man who made them believe in larger-than-life heroes. The man who told them to say their prayers and eat their vitamins. The man who made a young kid in the 80s believe that anything was possible if you trained hard enough. Yes. His legacy is complicated. Yes, his name carries both admiration and criticism, but legends are rarely simple, and icons are never perfect. Hulk Hogan didn't just dominate an era, he defined one. He paved the way for The Rock, for Stone Cold, for John Cena. He showed the world that a wrestler could be a superstar, a brand, a household name. Hulk Hogan may be gone, but his legend will never ever fade. If his story moved you, if you grew up watching him, idolizing him, or even just respecting the impact he left behind, take a moment to honor that legacy. Leave a comment below, share your favorite Hulk Hogan moment. Let the world know what he meant to you. And if you want more deep dives like this, real stories, real legends, and the truth behind the headlines, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on the bell so you never miss a drop. Because behind every icon is a story that deserves to be told right. Thanks for watching. Rest in power, Hulk Hogan, and as always, stay legendary.